Hello, my Teaserking family. Please excuse me having a little breakfast. I'm on the incremental fasting, so I eat dinner and then I tend to not eat till around now. Usually I try to wait till noon, but I'm really hungry today. Anyway, so we're going to talk week 3 of the NFL. Now, you're going to enter my mind, and I'm going to want to know your thoughts on this. So, as we watched the game last night, did we all notice the very, very strange ending? So, what? When John Elway was at Stanford, there was a kickoff. And what happened was Cal put 11 option quarterbacks type of players on the kick return team. So you don't have guards and tackles and tight ends. You've got basically a lot of option quarterbacks. So they optioned the ball on the kickoff and scored a touchdown. And everybody thought it was a big miracle. Now, again, what did they do? Well, A, it was a kickoff. B, they didn't really throw the ball back and back and back. And C, they weren't linemen. I mean, they were option guys. So when we look at what happened yesterday, all right. So Pitt went down. Their final line was 38 and 4.5, down from 5 and I think 40. So the under was bet pretty hard. So at 23-17, you've got 40. They're probably 40 was probably the starting line. Nobody bet the over, right? It goes down to 38. So all the money's on the under, but it's already there at 40. But everybody's betting Pitt. Pitt was bet down to 4 from like 5 to 4.5. So money was going on Pittsburgh. At 20, they're down 6. So they're comfortable. So what I'm looking for is, was this planned? Or was it just incredibly stupid coaching? Which is made to look planned, right? So when you have incredibly stupid coaching, first of all, the only time this play's worked is when you've had option quarterbacks, like 10 of them, on a kickoff return. Do you ever see it work like when the offense has the ball and they throw it and then it starts getting lateraled back and then a lineman gets it? Or, first of all, you only have so many option people, and even your quarterback's not really an option quarterback that you had. So last night it was Trubisky. He's not an option quarterback. So the receiver options it back, and then the guy's going to get tackled, and he just throws it back. And then it ends up in the end zone, and Cleveland falls on it, which hurts the teaser better. So maybe there's a lot of teasers at plus 10 because we lost a game we never should have. We were clearly winning and never should have lost. Just a second. So how do we lose this game? Doesn't make any sense, right? How could we lose it? So that's, is Pitt that stupid that they think the play's going to work? I know they had the ball at their own goal line. The guy, I don't know, if he steps out of bounds, do they have enough clock? I mean, what play do you run there? But the laterals don't make any sense. And then I guess to their mind, they give up a meaningless score. But I can't believe I lost the bet because these idiots are doing that. So it's just, does anybody else think it's weird that they do it and all of a sudden the under goes to over and then the teaser loses? And, so is it planned by Pitt? Or is it planned by the league that we got to find Cleveland another touchdown? Or is it just the stupidity of the coach to call a play that really can't work? And probably the only play that would work I don't really think you have a play. I think you just take a knee. The only play that could work is like a 50-yard pass down the middle and then a hook and ladder. We got a running back trailing, and he pitches the ball like in the San Diego Miami playoff game, and the guy took it in for a touchdown. That's probably the only play that could possibly work in this. But you basically just don't have a chance. But to do all these laterals, and then what's the point? Where are you going to lateral it to? You're going back into the end zone. Anyway, just a very frustrating piece. So you turn a winner into a loser because of idiotic plays. Also, had we teased the under, it would have been 44 or 45, and it goes to 46. I think that's really what it was people probably had a lot of teasers on the under. The under goes down. It's at 44. The game's going to end at 23-7. It's going to end at 40. So all the under action is going to win. That's probably what it was. And they're going, how do we get this to go over? And the only way is these stupid fumbles. So honestly, I think it's done on purpose. And in this case, it was done for the teaser bettors who bet the under, now all lost when there was no business for them to lose. Game's over. You've got the under one. What are you doing? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Let me check this text out, please. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. My friend Alyssa. All right. So don't think there's not a lot of that goes on. I think a lot in basketball goes on. Baseball, I'm not quite sure, but basketball, believe me, is manipulated. But then so is the stock market and the dollar and gold and everything else we talk about. It's all part of the plan. So, if you teased it under, you got screwed. If you teased the 10.5 like I did, you got screwed. Hi, Christopher. It was just ridiculous. Thanks to the stupidity of that, I had a huge swing in profits, and not in a good way. Still make me a very small profit last night thanks to a hedge bet, but still. Well, that's what I'm talking about, Christopher. It's almost like planned. It's almost like done on purpose. First of all, this pit, it never works, right? It only worked on a kickoff return with all these quarterbacks who were option quarterbacks who could read the option and throw it, made it work. But in a regular game, you've got 5 linemen and a tight end, and these guys don't know how to option. Maybe the receivers. And what are you going to get? I mean, do you think you're down 6? You need like a Hail Mary. You don't need a 10-yard pass to a play that'll never work. If you threw a 50-yard Hail Mary, maybe you get pass interference. That would actually make sense, and then you get one more play, and then maybe you could actually throw another Hail Mary and get a touchdown. What you did had no chance, and then you give up points. It smells really rotten in my mind. But that's how I think. I think that play was done on purpose to kill the under action, or the 10.5. Both of them were winning. I had the 10.5 like you did. So I'm glad you hedged it, but that pitch should have covered that all day. But where were they the whole second half? Trubisky looked like shit. They're 14, 13.5, and then they end up with only a field goal on this Cleveland team. So, yeah. Anyway, it's just frustrating, and all you can do is move on. Anyway, so I have one lock in the pros, but let's go through the lines, see if these will work. Okay. I was going to say, I didn't think they're starting with Seattle. Okay, Baltimore, 2.5, 44. So the 43.5 went up to 44. I don't know how you bet New England over. Baltimore, I can't figure out anymore. I'm kind of like, why are they favored? We know Lamar's not really a good NFL quarterback. My problem with Baltimore is they have a big lead on Miami. All you got to do is run out the clock. They don't run. The defense falls apart. All I got to do is just stay on the receivers or get pressure on Tagliavua. They don't do it. they blow a 21-point lead because they can't run the ball. So I don't know. New England, good defense, good under team. Jones, Baltimore. I'm beginning to wonder what they are because now they're an over team, so their defense isn't very good. But again, a lot goes to the Miami. So I don't know. It's a very, very tough game. Buffalo, Miami. Buffalo 5.5, 52.5, down from 53. Let me just go through the lines first. Cincinnati 6, up from 5, 45.5. New Orleans 2.5, down from 3, 41, up from 40.5. Minnesota 6 and 52.5 against the Lions. KC 5.5. Now, why would that line go down? 5.5, 50.5. So I'll have to check the injuries today. Vegas or Oakland 2. Where's Oakland? Oakland's 2, 45.5. That hasn't moved. Philly 6, 47.5. Philly 6.5 down to 6. 47.5 stayed. Chicago 3, 39.5. Yeah, down from 40.5. San Diego 7, 47. Now there was talk that Herbert looked fine, that he did practice, that he didn't crack a rib, he cracked some ligaments, and apparently he'll be playing. So we'll assume that. Again, watch the line. If you see the line drop to 5, he's probably not playing. As long as it stays at 7 or 6.5, then figure Herbert's going to play. Tampa Bay 1 and 42. So it was 1.5. Seattle 1 and 42 also, down from 2. So people betting on Atlanta. The Rams 3.5, 48.5. It's about what it was. San Francisco 1.5, 44.5. Okay. Giants 139. That dropped a little. And that's it. And we got the pit game. So let's break the games down. So what do I see here? So my first look at is who do I play and who do I play against? That's the first thing I do. So the teams that are like 80% and more the last year or two in a teaser, strictly teams that are hot in a teaser I want to play. Minnesota, Green Bay, Cincinnati, Miami, Buffalo, and Tampa. Yeah, Cincinnati's struggling this year, but I'm looking at including last year, which they covered a lot, and the year before. So I'm looking at the whole picture, trying to ignore week 1, and then we'll see. And then we'll see how they are this year. So it's Minnesota, Green Bay, Cincinnati, Miami, Buffalo, and Tampa. Pretty much Brady, Rodgers. Pretty much Brady, Rodgers, Burrow, and then Miami, Tagovailoa, and Buffalo. So all the good quarterbacks, except for Tagovailoa, all the pretty good teams are the ones that we're looking at. The play against are San Diego. San Diego's a strange team. They never really win by a lot. So if you bet against them, you do well. Jacksonville, Cleveland, Baltimore, Washington, Atlanta, Carolina, Minnesota, which means they play a lot of close games, and the Jets. So sometimes you get teams on both sides like many, but usually it's the bad teams are the play against, the good teams are the play. So that all comes back at the end to who covers the good teams, the teams with the talent, who you want to bet on. So The play last night was Pittsburgh and 10.5 should have won, but okay, let's move on. Houston, Chicago, they're both under teams. Chicago is a good, I don't know if they're a good home favorite or Houston's just a bad road dog, but the trend on the game is taking Chicago. Personally, I prefer it under than taking Chicago because where are you going to find any freaking offense in this game? So when you get 2 weak under teams with, I don't know if they have good defenses or not, neither of them have quarterbacks. You just play the game under. Play the game the way it looks. Oakland, Tennessee, Oakland -2, 45.5. There is a little trend on Tennessee. I assume Oakland's a bad road favorite. Tennessee, good home dog. Now they lose by 1 to the Giants. I don't know what happened there, and then they get beat last week. Who beat them last week? Where's my pros? Well, last week Tennessee lost to Buffalo, and they got killed. So there's 2 ways to look at Buffalo getting killed by Tennessee Tennessee getting killed by Buffalo. Generally, a decent team that gets blown out comes back strong. So if I look at this line, right, Tennessee's a home dog to Oakland after getting killed. Now, their first game they played a 21-20. That's okay, fine, just, whatever. The second game they get killed, I look for their best effort. Not only are they 0-2, but they just got embarrassed. And one thing professional athletes do not like is to get embarrassed. They don't mind losing 21-20, but when they lose 41-7. So let's take the psychology. Tennessee is a Z team, but it's all because of the Buffalo game. The Giant game was 21-20. There is a little trend. There's no trend on Oakland. They're not a good road favorite. Tennessee's good at home. Oakland's not a great team. I got them as a W, which means they score, they probably score 20 and give up 30. Something like that's a W. A Z is like you score 10 and give up 30, which is what Tennessee is. But I don't, at home against the Giants, they weren't a Z team. So it's getting skewed by the Buffalo. So you have to acknowledge that. So I think Tennessee plays a very good game. I don't know that Oakland just kills them. I don't like Oakland's coach, Daniels, at all. I think Henry should have a good game. I think this is a must win. I think it's back against the walls for Tennessee. I think they win the game straight out. Absolutely. You get the 8. Oakland doesn't blow you out. They just don't have that. They don't blow anybody out. They just don't have that in them. And, okay, let's look at what did they do last week. All right, they lost at home to Arizona, who got blown out by somebody the first week. So Oakland's no bargain. You lost to Arizona. All right, Kyler Murray ran around. Tannehill, he's terrible, but Henry should be able to run. Will you start running Henry now or what? You've got the other running back. They picked up another running back who was good in the draft. Maybe you start playing him. I just think Tennessee plays their best game of the year that they're capable of playing. Tannehill can play a good game. He's not consistent. But this is a spot back against the wall, and you just got embarrassed 41-7. They will play their best game. Now, how good is their best game? But they're playing Oakland. So I like Tennessee here. The more I analyze right now, getting 8.5. I'll check the injuries, but I don't. If the spread went from 3-2, I don't think there's anything serious. Like Henry's not out or anything. KC 5.5, 50.5. Little trend on KC. They're a really good road favorite, so not to worry. Indy looks pathetic with Ryan. I don't see how Indy can keep up. They are the other Z team. They don't score and they don't have a defense. Mahomes should light it up. This is my free pick to go along with the Kansas pick of yesterday, college pick. Take Kansas City. Should win by at least 15 points. You know how the NFL is. Okay, we're up 20, we'll rest. But I see KC getting in the 30s here, and Indy just doesn't have the offense to keep up with them. So definitely a Kansas City play here. I honestly can't believe the spread went from 6.5 to 5.5. Who sits there and says, "Yeah, I like Indiana against Kansas City"? Like, I think they'll stay within 6. Who in their right mind thinks this stuff? I mean, it's insane. So that's my point. So this is a pretty clear take Kansas City. They're hungry. They want to get the number 1 seed again. So anyway, Buffalo 5.5, 53.5 to Miami at home. In Miami, Buffalo plays them well. Trend on Miami as a home dog. Buffalo's not, it's very hard to be a road favorite. Keep that in mind. Buffalo has beaten the Rams and then beat kind of a weak Tennessee team. This is poker. All right, they beat the Rams. The Rams are flat. Okay, give Buffalo credit. 3 interceptions on Stafford. It's 10-10 at the half. Then they kill Tennessee. Tennessee's weak. Buffalo at home. Okay, they dominated. Give them credit. You're going to play 3 strong games in a row in the NFL. You're going to go on the road. Miami just pulled off a miracle and beat them. I don't know. Buffalo, even the 74 Steelers just didn't blow everybody out. I can see this game being very competitive. Miami should get confidence after what they did to Baltimore, at Baltimore coming back and winning. So if Buffalo's up, Miami can come back. It's the Tyreek Hill and Waddle. How is Buffalo going to defend them? And I thought they had some secondary issues, Buffalo. And Tagovailoa is not mobile. Can't read a defense very good, so you got to worry about that. But he seems to, with Hill, he's got his little Gesicki, Hill, and that. So they should be able to move the ball in Buffalo. I'm not thinking they can stop Buffalo because they couldn't stop Baltimore. I don't know if you can take Miami in 11.5 if it's a smart bet. I don't like to bet against the Buffaloes, Tampas, Green Bays, but I think this is an over based on the way he's hitting, the way he's playing with Tyreek Hill and Waddle. I think they can score. Even if they're down, I think they score in the 20s. Buffalo should get in the 20s. So that makes it a mid-40, upper 40 game. You're at 53.5. You got to get to 47.5. So I think the only way you can play, unless you know something about Miami, I don't think I can take Buffalo as a road favorite. What tends to happen, Buffalo goes to the Rams and win. Then they're at home against Tennessee and they blow them out. Their heads get big. It happens in every sport. Oh, we're great. We won 41-7. They're not as intense. They go to Miami. They're not as intense. This is a division game. So let me check the history. Christopher, I don't know how much it matters for overall betting, but it looks like Gabe Davis is back this week for Buffalo. Well, it matters if he's better than the guy who took that over. Let's look at the history of this. So let's see. Okay, the history. So Buffalo wins in Buffalo 26-11. They win 35-0 in Miami. They win 56-26 in Buffalo. They win 31-28 in Miami. They win 37-20 in Miami. They win so Buffalo's basically won the last 6 games. So that takes, if you're going to play the game, it takes it to Buffalo versus playing Miami. Buffalo has their number, so you respect that. So it's either over or apparently it's Buffalo. Again, you get a big head. So, but because this is a division game, Miami and Buffalo are in the division, maybe they don't they can stay, but they're gonna fall soon. Buffalo, you cannot keep blowing out teams. It doesn't happen, and they're not that strong of a team. So I'd say to play the game over, but it's a hard game. I think it's got to be an over because Buffalo, is going to score. Miami, is going to score with Hill and Waddle and Gesicki. So definitely, I think this goes over. Detroit and Mini. All right, let's look at this history. All right. I believe, because I check it when they play every year, is a dog history. So Detroit won at home and Minnesota won at home, both by 2 points. Mini won in Detroit by 2 points. Mini won at Mini by 14. Mini won in Mini 20-7, laying 12. Mini won in Detroit. Mini won in so Mini's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the last 8. So they had won 7 in a row, and Detroit gets the win as a home dog, 29-27. So Mini owns this. The dog's pretty good at it also. In Mini, I think you have to take Mini here. So Mini owns them like Buffalo owns them. You can only play Buffalo there. You can only really play Minnesota. Yeah, Detroit's looking better offensively, but I think this is we got to play what's the trend. And I think Minnesota at home, again, they got embarrassed at Philly on Monday night. Look for them to get pissed off. They play better at home. Detroit's okay, but now they're going on the road. Minnesota's defense should stop them. It'll probably be a close game. Maybe you take the dog. I don't know about over-unders with Minnesota. They're a very psychotic team. They go over when they shouldn't. They go under when they shouldn't. I've lost a lot of money on them thinking they were a great defense, betting them under, and they score 50 points. So I usually stay away from Mini on over-unders. I would think this would be an over, but I don't know. But it looks like it's a Minnesota game in the fact that they own Detroit. So that's my thought there. Baltimore, New England. Baltimore, 2.5. Baltimore is an over team. New England's an under team. Obviously, a good defense. Not a great quarterback. Baltimore, who knows what Lamar Jackson is. Apparently, their defense sucks. Can New England, though, pass all over their defense? They don't have the receivers. So, again, it's a different type of team than Miami. Jones, probably a better quarterback because they have the receivers, but they don't, So what did they do last week? New England beats Pitt 17-14. And then we know that Baltimore loses to Miami, but does score a lot. I think New England's a live dog here. Over under 44.5. I don't know what to do. New England's a low-scoring team. Baltimore's a high. Small trend to New England as a home dog and at home. But again, you throw out the Brady stats. So it's really the last 2 years of New England's all you could use. And that's what happens with all this movement. So you look at New England for 5 years, you can't because you got Brady and you can't pencil in Brady stats. You got to do after Brady. AD after death of Brady. Or we'll call it AB after Brady. And BC before Brady. The Romans. So yeah, we like New England's defense. Believe me, if anybody knows how to defense Lamar Jackson, it's Belichick. He'll stay to the outside. He won't let him get outside. Like, that's what he did in the Super Bowl against the Rams, right? He kept the edge, right? He won't let you get the edge. Well, I'm sure he'll do that against Lamar. Lamar probably won't be too effective in this game. They'll probably sack him a lot, and he won't be able to run. New England doesn't have much of an offense. So I'm almost thinking it's an under game. It's a Belichick game. Jackson won't have a good game. He won't throw for a lot. New England, good defense. Mac Jones, I don't know, maybe 24-20. I can't see Belichick letting Lamar Jackson have a big day like Miami did. So with that said, I like Buffalo a little bit more. They should be able to light up Miami a little bit more, and that's a team they play well. And here, I don't know. I don't know if I can take New England in 8.5, but I think that's the only play. I don't know how you play it over under. Probably an under and probably New England. Don't love it. Little inconsistent here. I don't really want to bet on Jones. I can't bet on Jackson. Then it comes to the best defense. That's New England. So I would say New England 8.5. The only way to play this game. Cincinnati 6 over the Jets. Jets. Very little trend on Cincinnati. Over under 45.5. What do we got? We got Cincinnati is really not scoring, and we got the Jets as a W team. So they don't score, although they did come back on Cleveland 31-30. So you got to believe Burrow is better than that. What did Burrow do last week? They 20-17 to Dallas. So Burrow is really not lighting it up, but he's not playing Micah Parsons either. He's got the Jets defense, who did give up 30 to Cleveland. I think since he's got their back against the wall, they're laying 6, so it's even in a teaser. I think they win. I know the Jets pulled a few upsets. Last year, I think they beat Cincy and Tennessee at home, and then that was all that was it. We can beat them at home, but then we can't go on the road and beat anybody. So with that said, I just don't know. I think you got to take Cincy. They have to win. And regardless, I think at the end of the day, Burrow, he should have beat Pitt if they kicked the extra point. So I think there's no way they don't win this game. They have to win this game. Christopher, funny little stat. Since he revamped their O-line to protect Burrow, and he is now currently being sacked twice as much as last year. Yeah, I think a lot of that is they're not running the ball right? He wants to throw the chase every time, and he's standing back waiting for Chase. Chase is, I'm sure, being double-teamed, but Mixon's really not running. You need to run. If you run, you tire out the defensive line, and if you run, you get first downs, you rest your defense. So there's a lot of reasons to run the ball. I'm not a big Mixon fan. And then I think they have Perrine from Oklahoma. I don't know what it is with these Oklahoma running backs that they're so enthralled with. Get the Georgia running backs. They're a little better. Or Alabama had some good running backs. I just think that their backs are against the wall and they're playing the Jets. I think they should be able to win. Even Cleveland had them, and then Flacco got a late touchdown, got an onside kick, scored that touchdown. This is what I'll call they're like emotionally flat this week, the Jets, because the way they won that game was extremely emotional. I can't see Joe Burrow not winning this game. He has to win it. The back's against the wall. So I see, again, it's even. And Cincinnati's got to be a better team than the Jets. So if they are going to do anything this year, they have to win this game. So you're betting on them having to win. Do they win? I don't know, but they have to. And the Jets don't have a good defense. So Burrow should have a good game here. Philly and Washington. Philly's a B team. Washington's an over team. They play high-scoring games. Little trend on Philly is a road favorite. Let's go into the series. Philly, Washington. Head-to-head. All right. Philly won in Washington 20-16. Philly won at home 27-17 last year. Washington won in Philly in 2021. Washington won at home 27-17. Philly wins in Washington. So Philly had won 3 straight. Washington won 2 straight, and then Philly's won the last 2. 27-17 and 20-16. So they're pretty close. They're not really high scoring, 37-44, 34, 44. So the last four have not really been that as high scoring as you think. Philly seems to do well in this series. Washington, I'm struggling with Hurts. I mean, or how do you bet? Or Wentz. Well, Wentz and Hurts I'm struggling with. Philly did beat Minnesota pretty good. I think you got to take Philly here. Probably an over game because Washington is just, for the Lions to light you up, you really stink. Philly should light them up, I guess. So I guess go Philly or over in this game. They're both kind of average teams. Philly's not really that strong where you can say, oh, they're going to go on the road and win. I mean, they're not Tampa Bay or Green Bay. So they're a good team. But if Washington won, problem is Wentz. So, this is the problem with all this movement. Now you got Wentz. You have no trends. So you really don't know. Washington is a home dog. But there is an edge on Philly as a road favorite here. New Orleans, 2.5 over Carolina, 41.5. Both teams are under teams, so they don't score. They have pretty good defenses. I don't know if they have good defense or they just can't score. New Orleans, 2.5. New Orleans, 41.5. There's a big trend on New Orleans, so let's go to that series. New Orleans, Carolina. I think that's up. And let's see the last few games of this series. New Orleans, 18-10. Carolina at home, 26-7. New Orleans at Carolina, 33-7. New Orleans, 27-24. New Orleans, 42-10. New Orleans, 34-1. Now, at what point does Drew Brees drop off? I think in 2020. So if we look at the last 4 games, it's been New Orleans, Carolina, Carolina, New Orleans. Carolina's only won as a dog. So they won +3 at home, +5. And so as a home dog is when Carolina wins. And we happen to have them as a home dog here. So without Drew Brees, Winston's, not very good. Mayfield I like. Do they have receivers? They're an under team, 41.5. I'm going to go through the team stuff in a minute after this because I gotta dig a little bit more. I think Carolina's the only play here getting the 8.5 if we trust Mayfield and the defense. I also like the game under because 2 unders are playing and it's 41.5. So maybe you play it under or you play the home dog. Again, very few teams can be road favorites. Maybe Buffalo, Tampa, Green Bay, Kansas City. That's about it. So when you're a road favorite, so you got to go on the road and win by double digits. That's extremely difficult to do in the NFL. It's such parity that it's really not a strong. There's no Georgia in this league, unfortunately. So probably the home dog here, or probably the under, because Carolina doesn't score a lot. Jacksonville, San Diego. San Diego lane 7, 47. Double trend. San Diego is a terrible home favorite, but Jacksonville is a terrible road dog. So they're both bet against. I believe Herbert's playing. He's been practicing, and believe me, if he didn't break his ribs, he hurt his ligament. So with that said, you got San Diego. Now, as a home favorite, can I bet against Jacksonville on the road? Yeah, absolutely. That's a whole different animal than New Orleans as a road favorite. You can bet against Jacksonville as a road dog. San Diego as a home favorite. You can take San Diego should win this game at home, only having to win by 1. Do you bet it over? How do you trust Trevor Lawrence to score? Jacksonville's defense is getting better with the Georgia kid, the defensive tackle, the number 1 pick. And I think they got some other good picks. So their defense is pretty strong, Jacksonville. They just don't have a quarterback. Herbert should get the win, and San Diego's got a very good defense. So I don't know about over 47 to 41. Maybe it's an under. I think they'll probably shut down Lawrence. So I think San Diego -1. They just lost the game they shouldn't have lost to they lost to Kansas City on a 99-yard interception. So they basically went to Kansas City and gave them all they wanted. So I like San Diego here. Lay the 1. I think that's a good play. The Rams 3.5 over Arizona. You got a W team in the Rams because of the Buffalo game. So Buffalo's skewing all these teams. So let's go to the Rams and Arizona's trends. And our story here, we have the Rams won the playoff game 34-11 when Murray throws 2 interceptions in his own end zone. The Rams won at Arizona 30-23. Arizona won at the Rams 37-20. The Rams won at home 18-7. The Rams won 38-28. And I think that's probably the Stafford time. So Stafford just came last year. So if we just look at last year, Arizona won 37-20. The Rams win in Arizona 30-23, and then the playoff game. So the Rams have won the last 2 with Stafford. Only -3.5. Yes, they won the Super Bowl. They're not really a Super Bowl team. They just happen to win it. 48.5 over. They played a 45 and a 50 and a 57. So I think this is definitely an over game. In the series, they score a lot. I don't think the Rams are ready to play defense. Arizona doesn't play defense. They're an over. I think over is the play in this game. Atlanta and Seattle. Atlanta's an over team. Don't have a defense. Not really have a quarterback with Mariota. Seattle's an under team. They don't really have a quarterback with Geno Smith, and their defense, I guess, is okay. -1 and 42. Very little trend. Seattle's not a good home favorite. You would think they are. They're not. With the 12th man, it's just bullshit. It was good when they had Richard Sherman and Wilson. Then they were a good home team. It's been a long time since they had Richard Sherman there. So what you have is, tease the dog, I think. I think Atlanta, being an over team, will score on them. And then I don't see Seattle blowing out anybody. So if you can get over 7, take Atlanta. I don't know how you bet Seattle over. I think Geno Smith will start. He's got 2 good receivers. I think it's just a matter of time till he does it. And the kid Walker from Michigan State, the running back, great running back, I think needs a few games to really get him running and throw the ball to the receivers, Metcalf and the kid from Kansas State, Lockett. So he's got good receivers and he's got a good running back. Now they need Russell Wilson, which they don't have. But where's their defense? It's okay. Again, what did they do last week with getting killed by Frisco? I think they blocked a punt late or something that killed me. So they're not scoring. Now, is Frisco really that strong defensively, or they just Geno Smith isn't? They didn't score on Denver. Here they get Atlanta, probably a little more. Here we'll see a better Seattle team. Are they, if you can't move it on Atlanta, you can't move it. So we know you can't move it on Denver. Decent defense. You're not moving it on Frisco. Who's got a very good defense. Again, shows me they're a weak team. So I think you got to tease the dog here. Game of the week, Rodgers and Brady. We got Brady -1 at home. Tampa's the A team. Green Bay is probably really a B team. I don't call them an under team. You just ignore the Minnesota week 1 mess. Look at them last week. They blow out, again, a weak Bear team. So for them to beat them and only allow 6 points it's the Bears. They don't have an offense. So over under of 42. I am not betting against Tom Brady. They have a history of beating Aaron Rodgers. I think in this game, I think the over-under is really low at 42. I don't know where they're getting this from. Tampa Bay, okay, they beat Dallas, who doesn't have an offense. And then let's also look at last week's Tampa game. They beat New Orleans 20-10. So against New Orleans and against Dallas, teams without good offenses, they're giving up 10 points a game. On the other hand, against Dallas, they scored 19, and Dallas has a good defense. And then against New Orleans, who does it? New Orleans is a under team. They do score 20. So you're looking at a mid-20s. In Green Bay, Rodgers will find 20s. You're looking at an over a 36. 20-17 gives you a W. Are you seriously telling me that Rodgers and Brady are not going to hit 20? I find that hard to believe, especially playing each other. So when one does something, the other does something. I don't see how you've got Brady and Rodgers, you're not going to get 42 or 36. So this is definitely an over. It's a very strong overplay. San Francisco, Denver, 2 under teams. San Francisco's laying 1.5. The UT's the dog. Well, we saw what they did to Seattle last week. Over under of 44.5, 45. I think there's only one way to play this game, which is under. Frisco shows a very strong defense. Deebo Samuel can run. Garoppolo, we know, isn't good. Denver's struggling with Russell Wilson. It's a new team. The receivers are always hurt, Hamler and the kid from Alabama. So it's funny how all these kids from Alabama are hurt. They're always hurt. Nobody can play. Waddle's doing okay. We'll give him credit. But I think the only way you can play the game is under. I think under 50.5. Where are they going to get that? Frisco, take away the block punt, scores 20 on Seattle. That's at Denver. I just don't see a lot of points in this game. I think both defenses are that good. Russell Wilson I love, but he's not ready yet with this offense. And Garoppolo I don't love. So I think this is an under game. And I'll do the last game, then I'll look at the comment. Dallas against the Giants. I have Dallas -3. I don't care that Cooper Rush. I think he's better than Prescott. Over under of 39. I think you can take Dallas in the game, and I think you can take the under in the game. Dallas, strong defense. Micah Parsons, good night. Barkley's not going to run for 50 yards in the game. He'll sack Jones. All Jones wants to do is run anyway. Parsons is faster. He'll run him down. See, if Dallas were to play Baltimore and Baltimore was laying 4, I'd take Dallas at 10 because Parsons is quicker than Lamar Jackson. And they'd say, go ahead and beat us passing, which he can't do. So you get a guy like Parsons, that neutralizes Lamar Jackson, which is my case for not liking Jackson. He can't do anything Brady because Brady just throws the ball, right? So his speed's eliminated by Brady's ability to throw it in 2 seconds. This case, how is the Giants favored? I don't get it. Cooper Rush is fine. He wins the game, right? They won. They beat Cincy 20-17 with Cooper Rush. I mean, he got 20 points on a good Cincinnati team. So I don't see why the Giants are favored. I like Dallas as the favorite in this game. So you're getting. There's no way the Giants can be favored over anybody. Maybe the Z team, Indy, and I don't even think Tennessee's a Z team, but Indy's definitely the worst team. Jacksonville's playing a little better as a Z. Detroit scoring a little bit more, not to be a Z, but that's what you have. So I like Dallas here, and I also like the under. Grab it as soon as you can. It goes down to 38 or 37, but it's definitely Dallas's defense. The Giants have a good. This is definitely an underplay. So those are the plays. Christopher, Nathaniel Hackett's coaching is questionable too. Which team is he on? Is he the Giants coach? I never heard of the guy. So this is the problem with these coaches. They all suck. The San Diego guy needs to be fired. Oh, he's Denver's coach. Well, yeah, it's who is he? I mean, that's the problem. Most of these coaches, like when Walsh, Lombardi came, they were at least assistant coaches. Lombardi on the Giants, Landry on the Giants, Bill Walsh at Cincinnati under Paul Brown. I mean, so you had some credibility with its coaches. Parcells, I don't think was that good in the beginning, but as soon as you got Lawrence Taylor, you got a whole lot better. But that's what you have. Let me go into my stats a little bit more. Dive in one more layer to try to figure out what the hell do we do here. So there's a lot of question marks in the NFL, unlike college, which is very, very easy. So if I look at the teams, we'll do the same thing. Buffalo is a passing team, as is Kansas City. Detroit and Philly are actually balanced. And then you get the Baltimore as a passing team, which is strange because they got Lamar Jackson, but they're only running for 100 yards a game. Miami is strictly passing, which is going to hurt them. Cleveland is balanced. They did good yesterday. Washington's strictly passing. Atlanta is weak. Well, they're kind of weak. They only throw for 200 and run for 146. So they're kind of a weak team. Arizona strictly passing. San Diego strictly passing, which is surprising. Jacksonville strictly passing, and not a lot of it. Oakland passing. The Rams passing. The Jets strictly passing. You get to Carolina, they don't even have 300 yards a game. Weak offense. The Giants are balanced. Now they run for 170 and they only pass for 180. So they are balanced, but they don't throw for 200 yards a game, which is crazy. Tampa Bay, more passing, but it's low. It's 200 yards passing and 112 running. I don't know what's going on there. Cincy with Burrow passing, that's their problem. They need to run a little bit more. Frisco's balanced, but you would think so. New Orleans is passing 250. Pittsburgh's weak. They don't even get 300 yards, and they showed it yesterday. Green Bay, mostly passing, but they're getting balanced. They do run for 150. They throw for 240, so they get 400 a game. Denver strictly passing, 280. They do run a little bit. Minnesota strictly passing, 250. Chicago's just weak. They throw for 96 yards a game in the freaking NFL, and they run for 140, which is probably mostly Fields running. So Fields is not a quarterback. What the hell is he doing in the league? Oh, he went to Ohio State. Yeah, but they don't play Purdue and Indiana here, or Illinois, let's say. Houston, very weak, less than 300 yards. They throw for 200 and run for 80. Tennessee, very weak. He doesn't throw for 200, and they're running for 87. Where is Henry, who should be getting 100 a game? New England, more passing, 233 to 101. Again, where's their running? Seattle, terribly weak, 196, 56, 250. Oh, my God. Dallas, more passing, 217, 89, only 300. And then you got Indy, a passing team. They actually throw for 270 and run for 116. So they're actually not that bad. But then you look, they've only get 10 points a game. You're like, what the fuck? How do they get 10 points a game? And they throw for almost 300, run for 116. Almost a 400-yard offense, and they got 10 points. They must have problems in the red zone. And what doesn't show are the turnovers. Now, the stat I showed you on sacks is really the defense sacks, not I made a comment, Allen was sacked 9 times. It's not the correct way to read this stat. This is Buffalo has 9 sacks against the opposition, not that that Allen's been sacked. So if I look at the best one is 10 with Tampa Bay. Look out, Rodgers. Trubisky, 7 with New Orleans. 7. Pittsburgh has 7 sacks. Minnesota has 7 sacks. And then you get to the worst. So the team that doesn't sack at all, Miami, Arizona, Oakland, Cincinnati, that's one of their problems. New Orleans, 1 sack. And Indy's got 3 sacks. So that really, if you just looked at sacks, you could almost say who's the good teams and who's the bad teams. Buffalo has 9 sacks. And by the way, Arizona only has 1. And by the way, Oakland only has 1. That's a big thing in this league because there's a lot of passing. So what do I take out of this? What's the point? Well, A, I'm getting balanced. B, I'm setting up my team formula. So I can see Buffalo is an 18. They score 36 and give up 9. And I can see Indy scores 10 and gives up 22. That's the main focus is I'm really looking a little bit more at the defense here. And I'm getting what kind of offense. So when I see these 200 yards, when I see Seattle with 200 yards and I look at the bet and I go, Seattle plays Atlanta and the over-under is 42, I'm going to get you any points. And then you look at Atlanta and you go, where's Atlanta at? And, they throw for 200 and run for 140. Again, it's a weak offense. It's an under. This is definitely an under game. So even though you have Atlanta as an over, it's that New Orleans week 1 game, which you almost take out. Last week, Atlanta, 31-27 to the Rams. So again, they gave up a big point. They gave up close to 30 points in both their games. But Seattle is not going to get 30 on them. They don't know how to score 30. So ideally, what you're looking for is Buffalo and gets 400. Miami gets 400. Philly's almost at 500. Miami's at 400. So you can just look at the stats. Miami 445, Buffalo 418. Should be a high-scoring game. Buffalo scores 36. Miami scores 31. That makes sense. The over-under is 53.5, and the over-under gives away the game. You can just look. You see Dallas and the Giants 39, you just know they're 200 teams. So you use this as the kind of, it's like binoculars. You kind of get the focus. So if you're looking, so let's look at the Kansas City Indy game. Kansas City, 408 yards of offense. They score 36. They throw for 300 and they still have balance with Leclerc running for 111. And then you look at Indy. Indy does get 390 a game, but they only score 10 points a game and they give up 22. So obviously a lot of turnovers where they can move the ball, but they don't score. So that makes it a very high scoring team with a good defense playing a team that doesn't score, but has a decent offense. So Indy could do it. You almost prefer the lock would be if Casey was playing Seattle or Houston and Tennessee don't get 300 yards a game. Carolina doesn't get. So I think we have Carolina and New Orleans. Carolina doesn't score, as we just said. Where are they? They score 20, give up 23. Mayfield is weak, and they don't get 300 yards of offense, and they're playing New Orleans, who they get 400 yards of offense. They throw for 250, and they get 127, but they only score 19. Part of it is they got 10 on Tampa Bay, and they scored on Atlanta. So in this type of game, you kind of are looking for the same. So you're looking for that. Like I think Chicago-Houston is what we're looking at this week. So Houston with Mills, they get 287. Chicago gets 235. That's the no-brainer. You take it under. And where are they going to – neither team can get yard. Neither team gets 300 yards a game. So if that's the case, where are they going to get points? The beauty of the teaser kind of takes the bullshit out. So if we go 40 to 46 and there's that late lateral bullshit to cover the 40, you're pretty much protected with the 46. So that's the perfect analysis here. Buffalo, Miami over, and then the Houston, Chicago under, where neither team gets 300 yards. And if you're ever going to be a little bit skewed high, it's now when week 1, the teams were not even in condition. And week 2, they're starting to get in condition. Now, I think they can play the full game, and they're pretty much in game shape. Not in week 1. So you would get a lot more overs in week 1 than you would in, week 3 based on conditioning. Now, yes, there was timing issues where the good quarterbacks, like Aaron Rodgers, suffered because he didn't have timing with the receivers. But I guarantee you, after getting shut out by Minnie, they went and practiced and got their timing down. They looked much better last week, and now coming into Tampa, they've at least got the 2 games under control. And he has gotten his receivers back. Lazard's back. There was 2 or 3 other guys back in his running games there. So look for Green Bay to be balanced in that game. But that's why I look at it. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you is the quarterbacks. So real quick, so I have this then sorted by offense and defense. So if I look at the defensive numbers real quick, you have Tampa giving up 7, Buffalo giving up 9, Denver and Frisco give up 13, Jacksonville 14, Minnie 16, Green Bay, New England 17. So really, you shouldn't. That's why the Tampa Green Bay game is so low at 41, is based on those 2 numbers, right? Tampa gives up 7, Green Bay gives up 17, but they haven't played offenses like this yet. Green Bay played Minnie, and then played Chicago, and then Tampa had played New Orleans and Dallas. So they didn't really get strong offenses. You'll get a better number this week. That's why I need 3-4 weeks to get that. At least this is all pros. And then you'll have a better, like Green Bay will probably score in the 20s. It'll move Tampa to like 11 or 12. And Green Bay will go give up in the 20s. And they'll be about a 20. Buffalo at 9. I'll be shocked if they give up 9 to Miami. But I look at it the other way. So if we look at the bottom, Baltimore gives up 26, Oakland and the Jets 27, Cleveland 28, the Rams 29, Atlanta 29, Washington 29, Tennessee 31, Detroit 33, Arizona 34. You cannot bet on those teams because they don't have a defense. So Tampa, Buffalo can hold the team, and you win with your defense. The 49ers did. Mini Green Bay, New England, Dallas and the Giants. Giants give up 18. Dallas gives up 18. You expect a low-scoring game. But when you get Philly and Washington gives up 29 and Philly gives up 21, you expect a high-scoring game because of their defenses. Now, again, these numbers will change after about week 4 or 5 where they played an assortment of teams. They played the Brady and the Rodgers. They played the Fields and the Tagliabuas. So as you play the weaker quarterbacks and the stronger, so you look, Tampa is not a 7-point defense. It's a very good defense, but it's not a 7 defense. Because they again, it was Dallas who doesn't score, and then last week was New Orleans. So let's see them against. So if they give up 7 to Rodgers and now they're a 7, and then you've got that cemented in. So really, we're focusing more on the Arizona, Detroit, Tennessee, Washington. So again, Tennessee has Oakland. Well, I don't know what's Oakland at. Oakland gives up 27 too. So this is actually an over game if you look at it, because both teams have no defense. So Oakland, how is Oakland going to go on the road? 2-point favorites. You get Tennessee an 8. When the defense gives up 27, even though my defense gives up 31, it should be somewhat of, it's a do or die game for Tennessee. They shouldn't have a problem moving it on Oakland. It probably goes to an over, as we can see both teams are weak offensively but strong defensively. Like Tennessee only gets 14 and Oakland gets 21. So, but again, the Buffalo skewing things a little bit. These blowouts early really skew the stats. So you need about 4 or 5 games to get them going. However, that's one way you're looking. That's what you use the stats for. Now let's go down to the quarterbacks. So I highlight the best quarterbacks. So looking at this, Tagliabue, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. Flacco, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, which is why the Jets are doing well. Josh Allen, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. Herbert, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick. Mahomes, 7 touchdowns, no picks. Lamar Jackson, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick. And Jared Goff, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick. And you go, well, what about Brady and Rodgers? Well, let's look. Aaron Rodgers, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. And then you look at Brady, also has 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. Well, we're familiar with Brady and Rodgers' work. We're not worried. We are a little surprised by Lamar Jackson's 6-1, but he probably got most of those against Miami last week. And then Jared Goff played a weak Washington defense, so he got his. And now so that's how you start. So Tagovailoa and Jackson are much better. And then you look at the dogs are like Kyler Murray 3-1, and then Mac Jones is 2-2. Then the real dogs are Derek Carr at Oakland he's 4-3. Matt Ryan, and this is why Indy, as I told you, they got good stats, but why are they losing? 1 touchdown and 4 picks, and Burrow's 3 touchdowns and 4. So the worst quarterback's Matt Ryan with 4 picks. Carr's got 3. Carson Wentz has 7 touchdowns and 3 picks. Trevor Lawrence, 3-1. Winston, 3-3. Kirk Cousins, 3-3. So if you follow the bad quarterbacks, especially Ryan, 1-4 or 3-3, you can see they're not good teams. And then you see the better teams with the better the less turnovers. So Burrow, 3 touchdowns and 4 picks. Now, the 4 picks were all against Pittsburgh, and they still should have won. Then he goes 3 touchdowns, I guess, or whatever. What did they do against Dallas? So he must have had a touchdown or 2. Anyway, the 4 came in the 1 game, so we'll see. It probably won't go to 5 for a while, but we know, some of them, Burrow's good, Rodgers and Brady. You miss the Manning and you miss the Drew Brees. That's really what you're missing and needs to be replaced. So if we look like Geno Smith, 2 touchdowns and 1, he's just not productive. Mills is 2-0 actually. Anyway, you got the idea. Russell Wilson at Denver is 2-1. So there's just not a lot of scoring yet. It's only been 2 games, but that's what you keep an eye on. And you'll notice, without even looking at anything else, if you just come to quarterbacks and you see a guy with 1 touchdown and 4 interceptions, you figure they're a bad team because they're turning the ball over. So that's why I go there. That's what it gives me. It kind of is spelled out. Houston, Chicago, they're both under teams. Obviously, they're not scoring a lot. So it comes across in a few different ways, but definitely there. So anyway, so I got 1 lot going. I see about 5 good plays. Cincinnati back against the wall. Tennessee back against the wall. What else? San Diego should beat Jacksonville at home. Green Bay, Tampa, really good game. And then the Niners and Denver and Dallas and the Giants should be unders. So I think you have the scope. There's just what you look at is who can I play and who do I stay away from. New Orleans Carr, you can maybe play it under. The Rams, Arizona, maybe you play it over. Atlanta, Seattle, how the hell do you know what to do with that game? So it's games like that I just throw out. And I said, okay. And you try to whittle it down to your best 4 or 5 games. We're here to make money. We're here to increase your bankroll. So you've got to get to the 90% confidence levels to make the bet. And then if you lose, why did I lose? Oh, quarterback got hurt. Like Fresno State's quarterback gets hurt early in the 3rd quarter. Well, you can't really count that, but that's what happened. So that's why you lost. Oh, okay. Well, that's why I lost. That makes sense. So that's really what you're trying to do is get that down. So those are the thoughts on this week. Again, I think I have 3 or 4 teasers, 1 lock in this mess. And I've got 4 teams in locks, 3 college and 1 pro this week. Good college board. I got a lot of college plays and the pro plays. I think I'll have about 5 or 6 good pro plays that we just talked about. I got to finalize it, and I got to look at the injuries. So I like San Diego at home, but is Herbert playing? If he is, I like him. Then I'll play him. But that might be posted Sunday morning because I'm waiting, unless I hear something Saturday that he's fine. I got to make sure because I got to bet on Herbert. I'm not betting. I don't mind Chase Daniel. I thought he was good. I don't understand why he wasn't the starter, but I like Chase Daniel. So I don't mind. I think San Diego will still win with Chase Daniel, but if I'm going to make a bet, I want to bet on Herbert. Cincinnati, I think, let's make sure. I'm sure Burrow's healthy. KC, is there any injuries there? And you got to get over the Pitt Cleveland bullshit at the end. I know it's painful. It's a bad way to lose on stupidity. You're running a play that has never worked in the NFL that for some reason these coaches think, we'll run the lateral play. It worked on a kickoff return with 10 option quarterbacks. So I can't imagine why it won't work with my offensive line out there and, no option quarterbacks and a couple of receivers. So I don't know why that play won't work. Just heave the ball 50 yards down the field and hope for an interference call. That's all you can do. You cannot. You're going to go 90 yards with the laterals, and you screw everybody with the touchdown. So it's got to be a planned play that the league needs that touchdown, and this is the way they're getting it. It's the only thing I can think of. Because if you notice, Cleveland, I think, had a first down, but they didn't give it to them, and then they had to punt. And so I've never seen where I had to hold my breath when my team has the ball late in the game. I've been worried occasionally of a pick six. I've lost some games where I got the ball at the 20 and I'm throwing and I throw a pick six. I can stomach that. I can't stomach this fumble lateral crap that has 0% working and never has worked. Why would it work now? So it has no chance of working. So anyway, that's the pros. I'll go through a final posting now, so please check back later. I'll do it right now where I'll quickly check injuries and then I'll post. And that'll be it. Now, keep in mind, if you buy from me, I could add a pro game Sunday morning if I hear news or a college game. Usually I'll add it Saturday morning if I hear news. Occasionally I might add the late game. Like I think a couple of weeks ago, we had an 11 o'clock game or 10:30 game, I think USC. And if the first half, now if I give you Ohio State and Michigan in a teaser, and that's my pick. So I like both those games, right? They're in different games. And let's say Ohio State loses. I still like Michigan, and then I'll go find a partner for them to bet another teaser on them. So keep that in mind. If part one of the teaser loses, you already have part two to go play another one of my picks or your pick or whatever you want, or play with the Sunday. I do that occasionally. If I lose phase one of a teaser Saturday, I might play the Saturday night game with a Sunday teaser. So keep that in mind. Just use that as the guide. I'm giving you Ohio State. I'm giving you Michigan. Now, those aren't my picks this week, but I'm giving you that. And then if one loses, the other one's still a good. So every teaser I'm giving you is a good play, right? So if I give you Chicago under and I give you Kansas City, if one loses, it's still a good play and go there. Now, what you can do, Dallas and the Giants are Monday night. You tease maybe, let's say you tease KC with Dallas. KC wins. Now you can do what Christopher did, and you can trap. And let's say you go under 45 in the game. Now you can go over 39. It might be 38 by then, and try to middle it and reduce your risk. So I do that a lot with Monday night games where that finish. I do it mostly with like 8 or 9 or 10 team teasers. Then I do it where that's the finisher. My biggest one was when Florida State won the national championship 5-6 years ago, and I had hit an 11 team and a 10 team teaser, leaving Florida State -1. The spread went up to 11. I had a 10-point trap, so I ended up with Auburn in 11 and Florida State -1, closing out 7 teasers, and 10 and 11 team teasers were all set. It just needed Florida State, so I had it. And then it was a couple thousand on Auburn in 11, and I trapped it because it was such a big, it was a 10-point window I had, and Auburn could have won the game, but Florida State, thank God, won at the end. They win by 3. All the teasers cards come in, and then the plus 11 comes in. That's the perfect storm. That's what you're hoping for. But you always, if you're playing it smart, you leave that Monday night or Sunday night game as your closer, and then you go ahead and I win everything. And now you either take the risk because you've already got the teaser. You already got the 6 points, which is huge, and especially after it's analyzed going, this is the best way to play it. But then you can trap, and now I can win both bets, but I can't lose both because I've already – but you can only do that if you win the first half. So if I win Kansas City, now I'm taking Dallas under. I can't lose both Dallas under and the Giants over with the 6 points of the teaser, because I'm either going to win one, I lose one, or I win the other and I lose the teaser, or I win them both. And that's how many bets can you make where you can win twice, but you can't lose twice? And that's the beauty of it. So that's how you trap it. Anyway, let me know, www.teaserking.com. Let me look at Dennis Stokes posts where. What do you mean, Dennis? On the site. Don't follow Dennis. Where will you post your late picks for this week? Same place I post all my other picks. I just add it to the place where the picks are. So I'll go in and I might add a late game or news, like now maybe I'll add San Diego because Herbert's playing and I want to bet him. So I'll just add it. It's the same spot. It's not a frozen spot. It can get added to. So into the site, into the picks, there's your picks. Oh, now a pick's been added. So it's not unusual, but I'll try to, not do it last minute unless I have to, but usually Saturday, but by 10 o'clock, it'll be posted, or Sunday by 10 o'clock in the morning, the Sunday game's posted. So I don't wait till 3:45 to post it. I'm posting it bright and early. You're welcome, Dennis. Derek, you are who you are until you do better. No excuses, just results. You are okay. I don't get it, Derek, but whatever. You're welcome, Dennis. All right, www.teaserking.com. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. If you're buying, most of it's posted now. I'm just going to finalize a few more picks as I just check injuries, and they'll be posted shortly. All right, everybody. Thanks for stopping in. www.teaserking.com. Have a great weekend, and I'll probably at least look at the lines with you guys in early Saturday and Sunday. So we'll look at the college line changes, any injury news, but it's just a simple, this line went from 3 to 5, or this guy got injured or something that happened, and maybe Sunday morning. But I basically did college last night in the pros. So, maybe I'll come on Sunday and say, okay, Herbert's playing or not. But you can easily email me if you have questions on that. But I'm looking at injury reports. I don't know how often they're updated, unfortunately. So we will see. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Dennis, you understand. I'm glad. Just go back to the site and go to the picks. And all I'm saying is from what's there now, there could be new picks added just based on information, or I found another team, so I'm adding it. There's just so many teams that you just add that. All right. Have a great weekend. Again, go to the site and get my email if you have any questions. All right. Bye-bye.